Right now, state police offering more information about that shooting. You're having a state trooper that we brought you live right here on the Now Indy.
Yeah, the trooper was shot in the finger. The suspect, 29-year-old Brandon Foy, shot and killed. State police talking about the shooting right now. Let's listen in.
Today, our investigation has continued. Excuse me. And I can confirm the Marion County. I'm sorry, I'm off a little bit, and I will start over. I want to recount the events from yesterday, September 10th. I'll speak to the updated information that was put out earlier today. It was just before 3 o'clock yesterday in the 6600 block near West 46th Street at Eagle Point, the apartment complex, that state police officers were involved in an investigation that had just barely started within the last 48 hours from yesterday. At the time that that investigation started, we did not know the true identity of the person that was shot and killed yesterday. During the course of our investigation, we made contact with this person, an undercover officer, wearing a state police vest that said police on it. As he approached the suspect, that person displayed a gun and then ran. There was a foot pursuit as the officer that was pursuing yelled out to other officers that the suspect had a gun. As that person fled, he was reported to be pointing the handgun at other officers, and the chase continued into a back area where you're all familiar with, where the fence was located. The suspect went over the fence. Our trooper also went over the fence, and then shots were fired. The result of that, our officer was shot in the left index finger, suffering a wound there, and also the suspect was also shot, and he is reported deceased at the scene. Now, today, September 11th, our investigation has continued. And I can confirm, as already released by the Marion County Coroner's Office, the name of the deceased person is Brandon Jermaine Foy, F-O-Y, 29 years of age, from Indianapolis. I can also confirm for you that at the time of Foy's death, there were 2 active felony warrants. One warrant was for a B felony count of criminal confinement with a deadly weapon, and the second warrant was for 2 C felony warrants for 2 counts of battery with a deadly weapon. Both of these were issued out of Marion County. As I mentioned before, yesterday we did not know Foy's true identity. So all of this is information that we learned as our investigation has continued. Also today, an autopsy was completed on Mr. Foy, and the cause of his death was released as being gunshot wounds. In the course of this autopsy, and for those of you that aren't aware, in an investigation of this nature, the body is not touched. It is preserved for the coroner to examine the body, so nothing on the body is removed. So all of that is handled by the coroner's office. In the course of that autopsy, inside the pant pocket of Foy, a .44 caliber revolver was located. So this was a second weapon beside the first weapon that was recovered yesterday, which was a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol. So we've determined that he was armed with 2 loaded weapons. We're also releasing the name of our trooper that was involved in the shooting. Trooper Michael Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T. He's a member of the state police since May of 2014, assigned to the Indianapolis Post. He was released from Methodist Hospital yesterday afternoon. He is going to be undergoing surgery sometime in the near future to repair the injury to his hand. During this initial portion of his recovery, he will be off duty because of his injuries. We expect over time, as he continues to heal, he'll be able to return to duty in a limited capacity doing administrative functions. And at some time in the future that we can't predict, he should make a full recovery and be able to resume routine patrol. I think all of you would expect and would demand that any police action investigation is thoroughly investigated. And thorough, complete investigations take time. In any investigation, the information is fluid and changing, which is why the state police has a long-standing policy, I think most of you are aware of it, that we do not speak to ongoing investigations outside of the initial information of what has transpired. In this case, a police action shooting involving a suspect involved in a drug investigation. When our investigation is complete, it will be presented to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office, who will review it and then will determine what actions as appropriate should be taken by that office. I would also want to mention to you that at the time of the initial investigation starting yesterday, there was a member of the Marion County Prosecutor's Office overseeing actions that were happening at the scene. Over the course of today, I've received a number of phone calls, probably some of them from many of you here in the room. I've not been able to return hardly any of them, and I've only been able to answer a couple. One common question that I've had a couple of times is how many police action shootings has the Indiana State Police investigated over the last couple of years? I think many of you are aware that we conduct investigations of other agencies' police action shootings, not of all other agencies across the state, so the numbers I'm going to share with you are not all inclusive, but just represent investigations that we have conducted. For the year 2013, the Indiana State Police conducted 14 police action shootings. Of those 14, 5 involved Indiana State Police personnel. In 2014, there were 18 total police action investigations conducted by the state police, of which 4 involved state police personnel. And now, year to date in 2015, thus far we have conducted 6 police action shooting investigations, of which 2 of those were with state police. One that happened yesterday, and more recently, just a week or so ago, in West Baden. At this time, I'll open the floor to any questions, but I want to preface the fact that I'll really only be able to speak to the information that I've covered thus far and maybe offer some clarifying points. I'm not going to be able to speak to anything related to the ongoing investigation.
Given that, I understand, what more can you tell us about the drug investigation that you was part of?
All the information I have at this time is it was a very early investigation. We get information tips all the time alleging that somebody's involved in some type of activity. This information was deemed credible enough that a number of undercover personnel or plainclothes officers were involved in surveilling this, and as it turns out, we find this information out after the fact, but we have a person that's armed with 2 handguns and open warrants for his arrest for violent felonies.
Captain Burstyn,
You're watching continuing coverage of this news conference involving the state trooper that was shot yesterday during that operation, drug sting operation on the city's northwest side. You were just hearing from Captain David Burstyn, who's giving information about the man that was killed in that operation, 29-year-old Brandon Foy. He also talked about, Melissa, about the trooper Michael Wright, who has been with the department since May of 2014.
And he will, of course, be having outpatient surgery within the next couple of weeks, expected to make a full recovery. So very good news there. Have continuing coverage going on right now on RTV6 app as well as online, right?
And IndyChannel.com, so we'll continue to follow this developing story throughout the Now India as well. We'll have the very latest coming up on the news at 5, 6, and 7.